All right, my friends. Last minute remembery to put the microphone on. So my setup is a little different. I have, they're called PTZ cameras, pan, tilt, zoom cameras. I didn't know this. I know this now. They don't have microphones on them. So I was experimenting with a couple of different ways to get audio, and these work. They give pretty good audio too, but I have had a few issues with them, including dying in the middle of a stream and forgetting to turn them on and all sorts of good things. So I think you can hear me. I really hope you can hear me. And we are here for card number 5 of the 12 Days of Crafting Fun from the Stampin' Up 12 Days of Crafting Fun Advent Calendar. So thank you so much for joining. I am happy that you are here. We will dive into card number 5, which is Heartfelt Prayers. On the inside, we have Thinking of You. So could be used for a variety of different themes. Of course, this does lend to potentially a sympathy card. Heartfelt Prayers came out of the Peace on Earth stamp set. Let me get that over here. Peace on Earth, and then the Thinking of You was from the Advent stamp set. So that's what we're using today. We will start first with an apology. One piece is miscut, and I'll explain to you what that is. So if you are crafting along, we have pieces that came from the Advent calendar. So first and foremost, you are going to grab 2 pieces of DSP. So we've got this green leafy DSP. Then this piece of DSP that has a variety of colors and a variety of flowers on it. These are the 2 DSPs that we are going to use, and we'll cut them down to size. I'll tell you what those sizes are in just a minute. Then we have all of these other pieces from the kit are being used as well. So we have a gold scalloped rectangle, 3 leaf laser cuts, 2 of which go on the front, 1 of them is going on the inside. We also have this leafy bud, and then we will also be bringing in some embellishments as well as this puffy flower. So that's from the kit. If you are subscribing to my class, you also receive these supplies from me. So we've got a Misty Moonlight card base. We have a card mat for the inside, a white mat for the inside. And then we have a Flirty Flamingo rectangle and a Misty Moonlight rectangle. Here's the disclosure. The Misty Moonlight was cut incorrect. It was cut at 2 7/8 instead of 2 7/16. So we will need to trim that down. So when we're cutting this DSP would be a great time to make that trim. So temporarily going to move some of these things out of the way. The first paper we're going to cut is this green piece, and this gets 2 cuts. So need my little cheat sheet. Okay, the green DSP. So sorry guys, this one's cut down to the 16ths. So first we have 5 5/16. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5/16. Then you will turn it, and 4 and just a little more, so 4 1/16. Okay. Then we have a strip going through the middle. So you've got 2 scrap strips, and the piece that you cut off. So it looks like I have written on the instructions that I am looking for a green strip that is 5 5/16 by 3/4. And if I am measuring correctly, this is 1/16 short of 3/4. And in my eyes, that's about the same. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this larger piece of green for a future project and just use this strip, because it really is only 1/16 smaller than what it was designed with, and I'm guessing the strip kind of fell to the wayside. Otherwise, we probably would have just used that. So in that case, the only thing we're going to do is trim this down to a length of 5 5/16 so that it's the same length as the green piece that it's going on. Now, reversely so, this larger green piece, this already is 5 5/16. So if you want, and if it's easier, you could just put this at 3/4 and trim it. Then you don't need to worry about the, exact length of it. But either way, it all works. So that is the green DSP. Where should I put my scraps? Where have I been putting my scraps? We're 5 days in and I'm not quite sure. All good. I swear they were. I don't know. Okay, now for the floral DSP. This is going to be 5 by 3 3/4. So this one's an easier one. This is just normal cuts. 5 by 3 3/4. No fancy measurements on this one. All right, then I am going to grab the piece of Misty Moonlight, so you can see here. Now, if you don't care or don't want to worry about the cutting, you could just center this on this piece and have a little bit of a thicker border, but I'm going to move that off to the side, and this is going to get trimmed down to Misty Moonlight 2 7/16. So again, we accidentally cut them at 2 7/8, which is why we have all of the extra. So 8/16 would be half, so it's 1 smidgen less than half. Now we cross our fingers and throw up a prayer. Numbers don't lie. I just know when the numbers are wrong that I did something wrong, so I was just praying that I did it right. Okay, we'll move the trimmer off to the side and we will start our assembly. So we've got all of these pieces. I think what I will do is start the stamping now. So, found my pile of scraps. Okay, our trusty rusty scrap paper. Heartfelt prayers. That is peace on earth. Heartfelt prayers. Now, heartfelt prayers also has a with deepest sympathies stamp that obviously has the same type, same font. So if you intend this to be a sympathy card, you could always stamp that on the inside instead of the thinking of you that we used from the advent calendar. So there's an option for you. I don't need this quite yet, so let's put that there. All right, stamping today, we have our Misty Moonlight. I have discovered in doing these videos that I'm not bad at multitasking, but I'm not great at multitasking. As in, it's hard for me to talk while I'm stamping because I'm focusing on trying to make it straight. This, in fact, is not straight. So I might try to restamp. I'm pretty sure there was an extra. Where did I put the extra? I don't see the extra pieces in front of me. So for that reason, I'm not going to restamp it, but it is just a smidge going uphill. That's even less of a concern. So I'm going to remind you to look at your sample before you stamp, because we actually stamped it farther over to the left to have a little bit more room for the flowers. It's not the biggest deal. It's not the end of the world. So I'm just going to leave it because at quick glance, I cannot seem to locate where I had put the extra ephemera pieces. I know I didn't use them all. Obviously, we used a bunch of them, but all the rest of my extra pieces are right in front of me. It's a mystery. Okay. I am still very much getting used to this space. So this space is new to me. We have a long house, and the basement is the length of the house. So we have a long stretch of our basement here. And it's long and not narrow in a bad way, but like it's not the full depth of the house. So this whole basement space previously has just been a place for the kids to play. It's semi-finished. But when it came to wanting to do this and knowing that I needed a place to do this, I figured, oh, I'll just, edge out a corner of the basement down here. The kids will never miss it. And that's what I did. And initially it was this big, and then I made it this big, and then I made it even bigger. So it's really nice down here. I'm loving it down here. But still trying to figure out my workflow and where everything needs to be so I have everything I need and within reach so that I don't need to always be stepping away from the camera or things like that. So that's my story, and I'm sticking to it. Okay, so we are going to sponge on. For right now, we're just doing Misty Moonlight. So for right now, we're just going to grab the floral piece. Okay, again, just like yesterday, this Misty Moonlight is a prominent color. So when I daub on, it's got more of that grayish blue look to it compared to when I get most of the ink off and then just start to swirl. I don't know why, but it gets much more of a brighter blue to it. So I'm trying to avoid that. Excuse me. Okay, so hi friends. I have restless legs. Like, I don't know if I can clinically say that I have restless leg syndrome or how you know if you have that or not, but I have restless legs, and I almost always am sitting on my legs. So I am used to sitting crisscross in like office chairs and stuff like that. So my legs are starting to fall asleep, and that's why I had to reposition there. Okay, so I'm good with how that looks. Then I'm going to close the Misty Moonlight, bring in the Old Olive. Ooh, wow. Oh my goodness. I must have hit yeah, very juicy pocket of ink there. Okay, so that piece is good as gold. Now, all of these pieces, we're going to make Old Olive as well. Ooh. You get a different look if you drag the ink versus blot the ink. I do like how the dragging of the ink looks better, but it is dangerous, especially with these tiny little laser cut pieces. So viewers' discretion is advised. Know that if you do it kind of dragging your dauber, you're running the risk of damaging them. Here, I'll show you the difference. All right. There's my messy workspace. Guys, I'm still getting a hang of it. So, zoom some more. Okay, so here you can maybe see on the flower, it's more speckly, whereas on the leaves, it's more blended and smooth. Yes, there's some color variation where I've got more versus less ink, but it is more of a smooth color than the blotchiness. I do prefer the more blended look, but sometimes that is not feasible. Oh, this is not my scrap paper. Oh. Oh, also, oh yeah, I was like, this is not right. That's the wrong camera setting, guys. That's the right one. Oh. Okay. We have this one and this one, and it's just about time to get a new paper. This one's getting pretty inky. Okay. Ooh. Okay, and then one more. All right, call that good. Good to go. I think when you drag it more, it does show more wear on the tip of the sponge as well, or the tip of the dauber as well. So bear that in mind. Lightly tapping your sponge dauber might last longer, but it's a personal preference thing, and feel free to do whatever you like best. Okay, scrap off to the side. Now let's get to some assembly. First, I'm going to bring in my card base and burnish it on the score line. Next, I should probably stamp the thinking of you while I have the stamping stuff close by. So, heartfelt prayers, you can either use the thinking of you that's in the the 12 days of crafting Advent calendar set, or you could do the with deepest sympathy, which comes from the Peace on Earth that we just used on the outside. Peace on Earth, the with deepest sympathy from Peace on Earth is a little bigger, but it is completely your preference. Okay, thinking of you. Now we'll get that cleaned up and out of our way. What do you guys think of watching me while I'm stamping? So one of the features of this system that I liked was the picture-in-picture. You're not just seeing my hands, you get to see me fluster through all of this stuff too, which I think is great, but you have to let me know what you think. If you like it, or if you think it's distracting, or what you think. I do have it positioned off to the side, covering up just scrap. There's really nothing important or meaningful going on over there. But I was like, oh, this is interesting. I like it though. I like feeling like, and I know that I cannot see you, but feeling as though you have a connection with me while I'm making my cards. Okay. Just gonna spread out that glue a little bit. Okay, get that centered. So we've got just a smidge bigger than a traditional mat, and then a little bit thicker of a border between the two pieces of DSP. So just a very intentional design. Okay. So glue on glue for both of these layers. The dimensionals will go behind the sentiment. Then we'll put the green strip down the middle. I forgot to do the ribbon. You guys. Okay, so pretend that I didn't just do that. Although I did. Okay, I can get this side loose. That other side is going to be a little bit more of a deal breaker. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. Got a couple different ideas flowing through my brain right now. I don't want to tear this. I'm trying to teach you guys the right way to do it. I should do it correct myself. Okay, so what I'm going to do is we're going to take a side step. I'm going to grab a piece of paper from my supply. I'm going to trim this down. We're going to pretend like this never ever happened. Don't tell anybody. So I'm going to cut all of the blue off. So butting up right up to the green layer. And then we're going to put it on a brand spanking new card base. Yes, I wasted a quarter a sheet of Misty Moonlight, but it'll give me a better opportunity to talk through the instructions so that you guys do it correctly. So ignore the last like 3 minutes if you're crafting along live. Okay, so look at that. Not a problem. Put that in our scraps. We'll do this. 5.5, score at 4 1/4. Put that in our scraps. See, that's why that's there. Within arm's reach. Okay. Let's pretend we're starting over. First step, burnish your card base. Okay. Now, we made this beautiful layer. So we cut the green DSP, we cut the floral DSP, we cut the strip, put it all on here. Boom, done. There's been no gluing to no card bases, okay? Next, we're going to pretend like the back of this is white, okay? It's just a normal piece of DSP. Nothing to see here. We're going to put 2 pieces of tear and tape on the back. And for this card, we are going to use our Flirty Flamingo Baker's Twine. So let's peel that off. You're going to want to use about 12 inches, a little more if you're going to wrap it all the way around, but essentially you're going to stick your Flirty Flamingo right in the middle, stick it, and then give it a U-turn and send it right back where it came from. Now, the last 2 cards, we have been putting a little gap in between. This card, it is not designed that way, but it is completely your personal preference. As per the design, we are now done with the Baker's Twine. But I will tell you, some people don't love this puffy sticker embellishment. And my friends that practiced my class for me, they made a bow and put a physical bow there that they made out of the Baker's Twine rather than using the puffy sticker. completely your choice, but just a suggestion if you're not a fan of the puffy stickers. Okay, look at that. Never made a mistake, not even ever. Okay, now we will grab the liquid glue. Now we will grab the liquid glue. This would be the appropriate time to stick it to the front of your card. Just like that, you have no clue that I messed it all up. Right? Nothing to see here. Okay. Then you're going to trim down, if you haven't yet, your Misty Moonlight piece and adhere the Flirty Flamingo to it. Then you are going to adhere this stack onto the middle of the card. Because there's 2 runs of ribbon in between, the liquid glue should work fine, but because it's a flat layer, you don't want to use dimensionals. We want to use the dimensionals on the heartfelt prayers. You could use tear and tape or glue dots. Would work maybe a little better, but I'm like team liquid glue to the end. And even though I will say this, that should probably have been tear and tape. You don't know till you know. Okay, then we have our heartfelt prayers. We're going to put some dimensionals behind this guy. Okay, dimensional backs go straight into the garbage. Then this gets centered on the front of our card. Okay, then we are layering. We are layering a couple of different elements here. Now, it looks like this guy, you got 2 options here. You can either glue this flat on the layer of DSP, or if you do this in a little bit more prepared of a manner, you could stick it down before you put dimensionals or heartfelt prayers down. Mine was not super stuck, so I just kind of lifted it up. Now I'm going to stick it down and then stick the dimensional more securely down. Another thing you could do is on the back of this heartfelt prayers, the dimensional that's right here, you can leave the dimensional, the waxy backer on it, and then really figure out how you want the layer down there to look. And then once you have it all situated, grab that waxy backer, probably with your take your pick tool, and kind of shimmy that wax off and then stick it down. Someone very smart taught me that, aka Chris. Okay, then the smaller of the 2 leaves, that one's just going to go right here, more just pointing down. See, I don't have a ton of glue on there, so I'm going to sneak 1 extra little dollop of glue. And then we have our flowers. So this is the whole bread and butter. 2 different things you could do. You can either fold this stem backwards or just trim it off with a scissor. So whichever you prefer. Then we will put 1 dimensional behind the right portion of flowers. That being said, I can see here it's very minimal, or not really noticeable, but I have mine differently than Chris's, so hers was more like this. There's more room to put a dimensional back here. I don't have that luxury. So if you have not colored your floral piece, try to do the side that is oriented this way, as in the more thick version of the flowers is off to the right hand side. That is not the way that mine happened to be. If yours happened to be that way as well, what I'm going to try to do is cut this dimensional in half and put 2 baby dimensionals in this side. If you did it the way that Chris did it, you should be able to tuck a mini dimensional behind that part. Okay, that's why you have a glue scissors. Then you're going to go ahead and just layer this. Now I will put a smidgen of glue on the side that does not have dimensionals. And the reason I don't have a dimensional on that side is this leaf is really going to hold that up. Obviously, you could put a dimensional on that side as well if you wanted. All right, so we'll stick that down. And then I don't mind the puffy stickers. They're not necessarily my favorite, but I think it works fine in this spot. So I'm going to go ahead and stick that down next. Earlier in the show, I had mentioned that I felt as though my stamping should have been farther off to the left. It would have just left this corner down here a little less crowded. Obviously, it turned out just fine, but you can make note of that between the sample and the one that we just made. Okay, then we are going to take the thinking of you on the mat. We're going to put just a smidgen of adhesive on the back of this one and place that in the bottom right corner. Again, I don't think there's a right or a wrong, but just checking to see how Chris had done it. We designed these cards, feels like forever ago, so it's not all fresh in my mind. Oopsies. Not ready to put that away yet. We still have to glue this on the inside. Okay. Ooh, Stella. Cannot forget Stella. So let's grab our Stella pen. This one, you know, we got a lot going on with the flowers in the background. Lots of colors, lots of flowers. I think I'm just going to put some Stella on this flower head. All right, there you have it. We have heartfelt prayers, just a little smidge of Stella down in that. I don't know what kind of flower that is. I really have never been good at plants. But here is our heartfelt prayers. This is day number 5 of the 12 days of crafting fun. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed that card. Thank you for bearing with me as I messed it up right in the middle. It's all good. There's really not a craft emergency that we cannot find a creative solution on how to fix. So wasted just a smidge of paper, but in the end, it all works out. So thank you so much for joining me and making this card. I will catch you tomorrow with card number